Hi guys, so I have the amazing Rachel Goodwin here today. She is the Nars Director of Pro Artistry, and I am just so honored that she agreed to come to my studio to film a tutorial with me today. She is responsible for so many beautiful red carpet moments here in Los Angeles, and Rachel and I really have a really nice history because we kind of started at the same time here in LA working, and we know each other by just meeting at press junkets and different jobs, and I just really admire her work, and I'm super flattered that she agreed to come in my studio, and I can't wait for you guys to meet her and to see this amazing tutorial. Thank you.
Hi you guys, I'm Rachel Goodwin, and I'm so excited to be here today with Monika, recreating a look that's very special to me when I did for Emma Stone for her premiere of La La Land in Los Angeles. And I love this look so much because it is kind of the embodiment of the magic that La La Land was and the spirit of that, and it's very celestial and magical, and I'm excited for you to see how I've created it. I'm starting off by applying Nars Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. I like to apply in the center of the face and then buff outwards toward the jawline. This allows me to make sure there's not too much makeup on the outer edges of the face and that the coverage is focused on the center, around the nose, chin, under eye. And then I apply with a brush, and then I like to buff it out with a Beauty Blender sponge, just leaving a trace behind so you still see freckles and texture, and it's a little bit more even, obviously, and you cover flaws, but you don't cover the skin. You allow the skin to come through. When I'm applying foundation, I like to use really sort of full coverage formulas in a very sheer way. Because for me, it's about the least amount of product on the skin, but the most effective amount of product. So for me, I'll go ahead and I apply it, and then I remove it, and then I apply it, and I remove it until I get this perfect finish that makes it seem as if you don't have any makeup on whatsoever. And I can control exactly where I need more coverage that way, and just keep the coverage, the full coverage, where it's needed, and the rest of the skin almost completely bare, just a slight trace. Perfect skin is the key to any really successful makeup, and for me, the complexion is where I take a lot of time to get it really, really right. I love luminous skin. I don't like covered up skin. So it's about getting that, striking that perfect balance of done, but not overdone. So now I'm just gonna set the area around the nose, under eye, and chin and forehead with a light, loose powder. I leave the rest of the skin natural because I like a highlight to come through. And I use loose powder because I like how ethereal it looks, and it helps sort of set the makeup and keeps it from moving, especially on a red carpet day like this was for a red carpet. I like to set the makeup so that it doesn't move and that it photographs where the highlight is exactly where I want it, which is usually at the outer edge of the face. So I only powder the very center. And then I also like to powder the eyelids before I begin eyeshadow or any eye work. I usually will put a loose powder. I'm just using a little bit of eyeshadow, pressed eyeshadow in Blondie by Nars. This is a really wonderful universal brow color. It's a little bit of warmth to it, but it's just a great base color for a lot of different skin tones and brow shades. It doesn't show up really dark, but it really gives definition. These are the frame to your eye makeup. Eyebrows are the framework, and so getting them perfectly, being really happy with them is really important. I think that you want to create the shape you want that's going to perfectly give the feeling that you want for your makeup. Sometimes it's full and sort of wild, sometimes it's really refined. It just depends on the makeup. In this one, I wanted really full and soft brows. So I kind of, work a while just to get it exactly right. And if I go a little too high or the shape has gotten a little out of control, I just take my magic eraser, my eraser brush, and I go along the edge and clean it up and go back until it's exactly right. I like to finish with brow gel just to set the brow in place after I've done my sort of embellishing with color. I like to take a brow gel and comb each hair exactly where I want it, and keep them in place. Especially, again, going back to, when you're doing a red carpet makeup, it's so important that you use a brow gel to set. I mean, you can use hairspray, you can use whatever you like. This is just a clear brow gel, but I think that you can, as long as they stay in place all night without falling, all is good. The next part of the look, I'm gonna just place a little bit of a soft pink blush on the cheeks. In this case, I'm using Troy Surratt, his beautiful palettes I love, and this is a really pretty shade, a couple shades of pink, and these are just soft little iridescent, slightly pink shades that I just wanted to use a wash on the top of the cheekbone. I love these Kabuki brushes for this effect because they just move the color right into the skin, and it's like this is a very ethereal feeling makeup. I wanted this to have like a magical feeling, something celestial about it. So everything has a slight pearlescent, iridescent quality. And then if it gets too much, sometimes I'll just go back in with my Beauty Blender and just tone it down one little notch and bring it back to real life. If it gets too fantasy, that's a good way to bring it back. And I kept the blush high. Sometimes it's about the apple of the cheek, sometimes it's about the contour of the cheek, and then sometimes it's about just right on top of the cheekbone, which, for the longest time I think was something that women were afraid to do. But I think it has a sophistication about it that I really like. It's not necessarily doll-like like an apple of the cheek. It has a more serious connotation. I really like that. Even if fantastical makeup needs to be rooted in on the ground. Like I like to keep my feet on the ground and make sure it's still beautiful. So I'll use a neutral to begin. Like I'm gonna use a vanilla shade across the entire eyelid. Matte vanilla shade. Matte keeps, I'm gonna use a lot of shimmers and creams. And so this is sort of a way to anchor the makeup and to make sure the colors read true and that they stay on. I like to go in the crease just to define it. Again, I'm using Blondie, which is, a perfect, soft, neutral taupe color. It's universally flattering. It works on so many, for so many things. And in this case, I'm just gonna kind of give her dimension in her eye socket with it before I begin the colorful makeup. Makeup can look so strange when it's halfway done. And I always tell clients when I'm doing their makeup, don't look when I'm halfway done because there's a sweet spot where you're kind of in process and, it doesn't make sense. And then all of a sudden it does. I use this just sort of underneath the whole thing to give the shape and dimension to the eye and a sort of grounding the makeup in something very soft and easy. And then I added embellishment. So I was creating a look that I was inspired by the twilight night, those beautiful nights in LA that happen every now and again. They're beautiful, sort of soft pale blue sky and with all the different colors and the celestial feeling of the film and the way that the poster looked. And so I was taking from that and I came up with a way of I wanted to use blues and purples and silver. And so I started off with a shadow stick, and this is a Nars shadow stick in Usbek is the name. And it's a deep, beautiful, shimmering purple. And I just went along the lash line here and into the crease with it. And then I blend with a little bit of a tapered brush to get the shape. And I stayed mostly on the outer corner of the eye, creating a V shape. I think that it's really key when you're doing something that's maybe a little bit more colorful or out of the ordinary, that you sort of have a classic shape in order to make it still make sense in the big picture and to not be go too far. You always keep it sort of a familiar shape with a new color is exciting still, but it you know, makes it more wearable. So I'm just gonna blend this until it makes me happy. It takes a minute. So I'm continuing the purple shadow, cream shadow, underneath the eye, just on the outer corner to connect sort of the V shape that I made on the top. Coming in just about maybe a third actually. Like I want it mostly on the outer edge, but I'm continuing smudging the line so it sort of disappears just right about where the iris of the eye is. So center, and combining it, softening it until I feel like it created a dramatic shape, but it's also sort of soft on the edges and ethereal feeling about it. And now that I'm there, I'm gonna go ahead and what I did after that was I added embellishments. And in this case, I'm gonna do like a soft silvery shimmer shadow, just on the inside of the eye. This was really inspired by the idea of the sky, a twilight sky, and I wanted it to have the different layers of colors and not only the feeling that you get when you look at that dreaminess that you get, but the layers of colors and textures that it has. Look up for me. And I'm going to do the same on the bottom. And this is sort of a pink undertone, silver. So it's picking up the little bit of cool tones in the purple and playing off of that. What I did on the bottom of the eye was sort of the thing I think that tied it all together, which was I added this really, I love this color. It just makes me so happy. And that is it's a periwinkle blue. It's by Stila. It's a liquid. And it really kind of inspired me. I love the look of it. And I love the combination of blue and purple. Look up. And I just wanted that little, like a little bit just in the center underneath the eye as like a little hint of fun dreaminess. So I just dabbed that right under the center of the eye, moved it into the skin with my finger so that it didn't have any hard edges. What I love about this is it feels like paint. It's like painting, and it's kind of where I started, as you know, painting and drawing, and so this really reminds me of watercolors. The last thing that I did to sort of really, really go with this night sky theme that I was running with was I added a sort of soft silver glitter as well. And then I went over, look up for me, I went over this blue really with it, not too much, just a little bit, kind of, so that it just sort of danced on top of it, but didn't hide the color. And I just sort of blended it in. And I like these sort of cream glitters because they take the intimidation factor out of glitter for women, because, you know, they're much easier to play with without making a huge mess. This one is by Stila, but a lot of different brands make them now in all different colors. This one is just a really soft silver, but you can get them in every color of the rainbow, which is so exciting and fun. Now I just went ahead and curled the lashes off camera, so just so you know. And I'm gonna finish with mascara. I love Chanel La Volume mascara. It's really amazing, kind of gives a fullness to the lashes without needing to really even wear false lashes. A lot of the time I'll just use this and it's enough to kind of define and give you those luxe looking lashes, but without even having to add anything. So usually we'll just do the outer corner on the bottom. Especially in this case, I didn't want to come all the way in because I wanted this to stay light. So I just focused on the lashes on the outer corner. And then I use a navy pencil on the waterline on the inside of the eye. And this can be, you know, any kind of dark navy or even purple would be beautiful. Again, I was just kind of using colors from the night sky, so I like the idea of the dark navy on the inside, adding a little bit more definition to the eye. It felt more finished. I'm just going back in with the shadow stick, the Nars shadow stick in the purple, and kind of blending the colors together, just like it would be if you were looking at the sky and it's turning from dusk until night and you see that sort of transition happen. That was the inspiration behind this makeup. I'm gonna add just a few little individual lashes for whimsy at the end of her eyes. Just a few, maybe 2 or 3. And then I'm just going to go over the lash line with a tiny, tiny bit of black liquid liner, like the faintest little line in her lash line, just to give it definition, but not really about, it's really not about this liquid liner, but it just adds a little bit of fullness to and density to the lash line. Then I like to go in with a tiny bit of highlighter on the top of the cheekbone. This is the RMS Living Luminizer. I like it because it's really, really discreet and it photographs beautifully and it doesn't look overdone. It moves into the skin really nicely and just adds to the top of the cheekbones, brow bone, right above the Cupid's bow. And kind of just gives a little luminosity without being overly shimmery, which I like. I'm just gonna I did a really soft pink. I know you've been traveling, so you have a lot of dry lips, but I'm just gonna I just used a really sort of soft pink. In this case, it was a matte, and then I went over it and finished with a gloss. So I drew this on all over. This is a Nars Velvet Matte Pencil in Intriguing, which is a just beautiful petal pink color. Soften the edges with my wand. I went over this matte color with a layer of soft sheer pink gloss, and that was a finishing touch. Just dabbed a little bit of this iridescent pink in the center, and then used my finger to buff it into the skin, layering the matte and the glossy shade together. This is the finished look. This is Emma Stone's La La Land Los Angeles premiere in La La Land and my celestial inspired makeup, which makes me very happy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.